So, folks, we gotta talk about this James Talarico fellow. He's running to be a member of Congress, apparently. I don't know. Let's check out what he's all about. This is a post from just a couple days ago, from his team. Let's see what he has to say here in this MSNBC clip.
Well, yeah, I think it's interesting. I've been in this race for 5 days and I've had a lot of interviews with national media. No one's ever asked me about the cost of housing. No one's asked me about the cost of prescription drugs. No one's asked me about the cost of childcare. The only thing the media wants to ask me about are trans athletes. And so what I would say is that the only minority destroying this country is the billionaires. Trans people are 1% of the population. Undocumented people are 1% of the population. Muslims are 1% of the population. We are all focused on the wrong 1%. Trans people aren't taking away our health care. Undocumented people aren't defunding our schools. Muslims aren't cutting taxes for themselves and their rich friends. It's the billionaires and their puppet politicians. And so we need not only the media, but all of us to focus on the real problem at hand.
Okay, not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. Kind of spitting hard. When someone says with their whole chest, hey, it's the 1%, the billionaire class that is screwing over all of us, I like that. I like a man who can accurately identify a problem, you know? You need to be able to identify which arm is bleeding out so you can apply a tourniquet, you know? And I feel like that's comparable to this situation. And it's not asking a whole lot to be able to determine which arm is bleeding, but at the very least, this guy can clear that bar, which is sadly not something that every Democrat can clear. And yeah, that twink be cooking. Exactly. I also like that he explicitly stands up for trans people, and running in Texas, that's no small feat. Do you think Texas is going to be blue now? It is entirely possible, with the special election swings we've been seeing, it is entirely possible that many states typically viewed as conservative safe havens are going to be shifting blue. There has been in some of these special elections, 15, 20, 30. There was even one special election race that was almost swung by almost 40 points. If anything even remotely close to that, if say like a 20-point swing happens, we're in like crazy territory. We're in uncharted levels of winning, you know? The country touched the hot stove. Let's just hope they remember the lesson. Indeed. So it's going to be interesting to say the least. Now this James Talarico has been campaigning. Right now, he's in a primary against Jasmine Crockett, and they've been campaigning, but Talarico managed to land a spot on Stephen Colbert's show. Now, that show was supposed to air an interview between Talarico and Stephen Colbert. However, at the very last minute, apparently the FCC, at the urging of the White House, stepped in order to prevent the broadcast of this interview. Well, I figured we'll take a look at it. Let's see what was so dangerous the White House had to step in. Out of an abundance of caution, though, I am going to flip this just in case. There we go.
Welcome back, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me now is a representative in the Texas State House who is currently running for the United States Senate. Please welcome to the Late Show YouTube page, Representative James Talarico.
Let's go!
Thank you.
Who's this man that looks like the mirror image of
Now,
Steve
here's
Colbert?
the thing. I don't usually say this to a guest, but if people are watching this right now, it's because they found us online on YouTube. I did an act of the show that's on tonight explaining why.
Oh, I'm sorry. that I'm now realizing this has ruined the closed captions for you guys. I'll flip it back. It's fine.
It's not the first time you've caused some drama. FCC opening probe into The View after appearance by Talarico. Do you mean to cause trouble?
I think that Donald Trump is worried that we're about to flip Texas. And
I do gotta say, James Talarico, to me, has the physicality of a Kennedy. I don't know if he's related to the Kennedys at all, but like, dude carries himself like a Kennedy. Maybe like the Baptist Kennedy, the Protestant Kennedy. I don't know.
And Stephen, this is the party that ran against cancel culture, and now they're trying to control what we watch, what we say, what we read, and this is the most dangerous kind of cancel culture, the kind that comes from the top.
Dude, like already, he's nailing the rhetorical game. Like just flipping it on its head, being like, yeah, look at them canceling us. Isn't that crazy? While calling out state censorship.
They went after The View because I went on there. They went after Jimmy Kimmel for telling a joke they didn't like. They went after you for telling the truth about Paramount's bribe to Donald Trump. Corporate media executives are selling out the First Amendment to curry favor with.
Whoa. James Talarico coming out here in what appears to be jeans? Look at you, a casual man of the people.
With corrupt politicians. And a threat to any of our First Amendment rights is a threat to all of our First Amendment rights. So I'm just.
To fact check you, my network said our cancellation was a purely financial decision.
Got it.
And yes. I remain very grateful for the last 11 years. Now, you grew up in Texas.
I did.
Here you are.
I did.
There you are. You can prove it.
Okay, that's
They give you the adult boots as a child, and you're supposed to just grow into them.
That's cute as hell.
That's right.
You served in the Texas House, and now you're running for Senate. The race, frankly, should not be as interesting as it is. Donald Trump won Texas by 14%. Why do you think this year Texas is considered a possibility by Democrats?
Well, I'm an eighth-generation Texan. My family has been in our state since it was Mexico. And across...
So you're going to get deported, is what you're saying.
Across the state, there is a backlash growing to the extremism and the corruption in our politics. And I have traveled every corner of Texas already, from El Paso to Beaumont, from Amarillo to Brownsville. And we've had thousands of Texans showing up to rally with us. And I can't tell you the number of people who come up to me at the end of these events and whisper, I'm not a Democrat, like it's some kind of secret. And we've recruited 14,000 volunteers who are out there doing the work all over our state.
Also, that's pretty good considering he's not yet past the primary. That 14,000 volunteers, not for the general election, but for the primary. That's impressive as hell.
This is one of the most exciting parts. We have shattered grassroots fund.
Also, Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs.
What confuses me is how he can mount a run for Senate in Texas, lead the development of the Amico, and have world records for most VG performances.
I have to be honest with you. I genuinely do have to check myself every single time I say his name, because my mouth wants to say Tommy Talarico, and I know that's not the same guy. Oh god.
His mom must be very proud.
Oh, Chicago Cubbies PCA, you're voting for him in the morning? Hell yeah. Let us know how the voting process goes for you. And Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs. His mom must be very proud indeed. Indeed.
Fundraising records, all without taking a dime from corporate PACs. And so this is...
Hell yeah, we love a Texas cowboy that doesn't take corporate money.
This is really
I take that back. This man's not a cowboy, but I don't know. This man reeks to me of. He's got the sense. He's got the scent of like a pastor's kid. You know, I have no idea what his background is, but like he strikes me as a PK. You know,
it's a people-powered movement to take back our state and take back our country. And I feel like we're building something really special in Texas, and clearly Donald Trump has taken note.
Now, one of the things...
Cool. All right. Nice. I'm glad. Is he himself a pastor and the son of a pastor? I mean, that would make sense. Oh, former seminary. Oh, he was real serious about that shit.
One of the things that's come up in some of the conversations you've had on the Texas State House floor, which some of the videos I've seen you do, and one of the things that's gotten you attention out there is that you are...
He does have the look of somebody who's never said fuck in his life.
A Presbyterian seminarian. Presently?
Yes.
You're a seminarian?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. The right attempts to co-opt Christianity, to say that, you know, you can't believe in God, you can't believe in Christ. I think that Donald Trump...
Wait, oh, so he's all about the compassionate side of Christianity? Yeah, and I think that that's what's allowing him to be effective in Texas. It is like his focus on faith, but specifically rejecting the use of faith as a cudgel for bigotry.
Might have said something like that at the National Prayer Breakfast, like you can't actually be a Christian and be a Democrat. But the religious right is it's largely a political movement that references spirituality, but it's a...
Oh yeah, I don't think it's bad to have never said the word fuck. Like, okay, some background on me. I was raised very religious. I didn't say swear words until I was like 27, 26, somewhere in there. You need lefty Christians too, not just atheists. Yeah, of course. Like Martin Luther King Jr., one of the most successful organizers of all time in the United States, like was a pastor. He was a reverend. You know, like it is not an untrodden path to gain political power.
Political. What is your heartfelt hand out to the people who want to use religion as a tool of political power?
Well, for 50 years, the religious right, a political movement, that is the...
Attack on Pony Productions. Thank you for the $20 super chat.
I got a pedo arrested yesterday. Dumbass thought his offending crimes were excused and tried excusing the things done to teens in the files because of the legal ages in other countries. Somebody dosed him and he got swatted.
God damn. I don't know what dosing someone means, but sounds like a piece of shit. Thank you for the $20 super chat. But also, for the record, I feel like as a responsible platform holder, don't dox people. Don't do it in my community, please. Thanks. Oh, dozing is doxing. I gotcha. Also, don't like go on the internet and be like don't be like that guy. Don't like go on the internet and be like, gee whiz, I really like insert horrific abuse of children. Don't do that. Don't be like an Epstein apologist on the internet, especially with all your info out there. It's just stupid as hell. What if it's really funny? Nah, don't joke about it.
The perfect description for it. They convinced a lot of our fellow Christians that the most important issues were abortion and gay marriage. Two issues that aren't mentioned in the Bible, two issues that Jesus never talked about. Jesus in Matthew 25 tells us exactly how you and I and every one of our fellow believers, how we're going to be judged and how we're going to be saved. By feeding the hungry, by healing the sick, by welcoming the stranger. Nothing about going to church, nothing about voting Republican. It was all about how you treat other people. Don't. I've said before, don't tell me what you believe. Show me how you treat other people, and I'll tell you what you believe. And I think in our faith, we've got to get back.
Oh, Zoran also talked about welcoming the stranger, and James Talarico is now suddenly adopting that incredibly persuasive and useful piece of rhetoric employed by Zoran Mamdani. Looks like at least some Democrats in the party are in fact taking notice of what is working from Zoran Mamdani and incorporating it into their campaigns. This, again, should be the blueprint for what every single Democrat in the country does.
Back to those fundamentals. My granddad was a Baptist preacher in South Texas. And when I was little, he told me that Christianity is a simple religion. Not an easy religion, he would always clarify, but a simple religion because Jesus gave us 2 commandments: love God and love neighbor. And there was no exception to that second commandment. Love thy neighbor regardless of race or gender or sexual orientation or immigration status or religious affiliation. And it's why I have fought so hard for the separation of church and state in the state capitol in Texas, because...
Well, I want to ask you about that.
Yeah, please.
Because you did, as a state rep, you fought against a bill requiring the 10 Commandments to be displayed in schools.
That's right.
Why, even on that level, do you think it's important to keep the separation, not just for the state, but for the church?
Well, because we are called to love all of our neighbors, including our Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, Hindu, Sikh, agnostic, atheist neighbors. And forcing our religion down their throats is not love. And it's why I have fought.
God, you don't have no idea how good that feels after spending a lifetime in the church listening to people say the exact opposite.
It's why I fought so hard for that sacred separation in our First Amendment, because my granddad, he raised me to believe that that boundary between church and state doesn't just benefit the state or our democracy, although it certainly does, but it also benefits the church. Because when the church gets too cozy with political power, it loses its prophetic voice, its ability to speak truth to power, its ability to imagine a completely different world. And so this separation between church and state is something we have to safeguard. It's something we have to fight for. And I think we need someone in the U.S. Senate who is going to confront Christian nationalism and say and tell the truth, which is that there is nothing Christian about Christian nationalism. It is.
Hell yes. We need so much more of this. And I do just mean, like, logistically, we need to finally put a wedge into this Christian nationalist identity that has sprung up. And I think that this is just the guy to do it. You know, like, he is able to correctly point out this fundamental contradiction in a way that actually reaches a lot of, religious folks. We need that. We need that wedge to be placed right over the heart of Christian nationalism. The entire movement needs to be broken down. And, like, goddamn, he's nailing this. He seems good, but he's just one guy. We're all just one guy. You know? We're all just fucking one guy. But if enough of us act, if enough of us move, the shovelfuls of dirt that we can move mountains. Like, he's one guy and he's doing his part. Are you? Are any of us? We each need to do our part. Which is why every single segment I end with a call to you guys to get involved with your local Dems, to get involved with your local DSA, and to make your Democrats more radical. Make your Democrats actually fight for you. Make your Democrats actually give a damn, and make your DSA organized and effective and able to influence the political outcomes on the local level. We each need to we each need to carry our shovel full of dirt. So, like, that's what you need to do. You need to show the fuck up. This, by the way, is also the solution. I know that a lot of people are worried about the midterms and worried about the elections.
Jack in chat. I love this community. Love this interview too. I shall miss Colbert when he's gone. And R.I.P. Robert Duvall. Broken heart emoji.
True, rip Robert Duvall. I don't think when Colbert loses his show, it's going to be his last show. But also thank you for the membership, Patrick Lucas. And I will also say that if you are worried about the election come the midterms and come the general in 2028, then the solution that you have right in front of you is to get personally more involved. Volunteer. Become a poll watcher. Be one of the people who works the polls. Get together a large group of folks and go. The more of us that go together, the more of us that show up, the more of us that help out at polling stations, the more free and fair our elections are. So we each need to do our part, is what I'm saying.
It is the worship of power in the name of Christ. And it is a betrayal of Jesus of Nazareth. And I just want to thank you.
It's fucking idolatry. I've talked about this before, but like, Christian nationalism is goddamn idolatry. It is blasphemous in its nature, and it covets power in a way that is sacrilegious. It is an insult to God. And I say that just from the roots of my being, and I would have said this to you years ago, before I stopped being religious. I'm from a very rural area in Alabama. There isn't really a Democrat thing or a DSA where I am. Well, number one, sometimes your local Democrats can be hard to find. And number two, if there is not a local DSA, you can make one. You can make one and you can bring folks together in your community who feel the same way. We have other folks, by the way, from Mississippi, from Alabama, who have done just that. If you need help figuring it out, join the Discord, reach out to GamerG for help with DSA, reach out to Dragonfly for help with your local Dems. Dragonfly is really good at finding your local Dems because, again, every state organizes differently and sometimes all they got is like a group on Facebook. There's no coherent organizational structure for a lot of their meetings, but I guarantee you they probably exist. Yeah, Ever Afra. Other chapters will also help you get started and set up, even if you're rural.
You, Stephen, because I know you're not a politician, but you have really shown people in this country what Christianity should be and what it means to actually live out the teachings of Jesus, even in a talk show.
I would participate. If you're saying you'd participate in DSA, you can join DSA for free. Yeah, maybe if you don't have a DSA or a local Dems, maybe you have an Indivisible that's local. Indivisible is an excellent organizing apparatus these days. The Birmingham DSA is huge and would most likely see if they could help out. Hell yeah, Gummy. Hell yeah. Wait, really? Yep. Also, if you're struggling financially, some DSAs have a limited amount of financial help available to folks in your community. So, just as an FYI, DSA does a lot of really cool shit.
Well, I'm going to push back a little bit on that. That's very nice of you to say. I would never lay that compliment to myself because I think I fall far short of what my standards would be. But I will agree with you on this. I think that it is bad for certainly my church or any religious organization to associate themselves from a political party. Right. How must it diminish God to be associated with something so small as a present political party?
That's right.
Because imagine this. Imagine that you managed to co-opt Christianity. Imagine if you managed to convince everybody that Jesus was on your side. If you then lose the election, sounds like you've got a pretty weak Jesus.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's the key is you don't want to fit the big thing into the small thing. Mm-hmm. And God is the...
I mean... Some people might want to fit the big thing into the small thing.
Biggest thing there is. And so to try to fit God into a political party, whether it's the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, you've got it reversed. And so it's...
Yeah, look, fitting God into a small thing like that, it can really represent a burden, or even a load.
Not only can you take a load, you can take the ultimate load.
Oh my. The ultimate load, even.
Why I think we have to remember to put those big things first, to put the love of God and the love for our neighbors before anything else. Because right now, What you've got is people baptizing their partisanship and calling.
I'm being quite irreverent here, but I think that what he's doing is incredibly excellent and needed. You know, like, this is a message that is going to penetrate deep red spaces in Texas and resonate with a lot of folks who have been feeling more and more squeamish with what Trump is doing, what Christian nationalism is doing, and folks who care about it in a vastly different way than a lot of us over here on the left care about things. You know, for example, I don't give a shit about the integrity of the church. I personally have viewed it as incredibly fractured and unwhole for a long time, but there are people who just, they live in their bubble and they don't really see the abuse of the church at the hands of Donald Trump, and it is profound. It is profoundly deep.
That Christianity, when in reality your politics should grow out of your faith, not the other way around.
Now, there's been some attention on your race in recent weeks after a TikToker that you met in person says that you privately said to them, and I want to get this quote, and they attribute to you, right? This person says, you said, I signed up originally.
Also, props to Stephen Colbert for even asking this question. This isn't a softball interview. This is a difficult question to put to him. It's one of the most uncomfortable things his campaign is going on right now.
To run against a mediocre black man, not a formidable and intelligent black woman, supposedly in reference to Colin Allred being the black man, and you've denied this.
Yes.
Okay. You denied that you ever...
Terry Caro, the COVID vaccines weren't deadly. They saved millions of people from dying. Over 1 million Americans died in this country from COVID. Stop spitting on all of their graves.
Never said that.
That's correct.
Okay. Allred continues to talk about it, even though he's no longer running for the Senate, correct?
Right.
So where does that stand? How do you, as someone who, this person says this about you, you say it didn't happen, how do you imagine this gets adjudicated, and what would you like to say to people?
Yeah, I mean, we know that misinformation spreads on the internet, and it's sometimes like a game of telephone. As I said in my statement, I did critique Colin Allred's campaigning as mediocre, but I would never attack him on the basis of race. I respect Colin Allred deeply, even though we have disagreements on the best way to campaign and the best way to win Texas. My job in this moment is to try to lower the temperature, is to try to remind us that we are all on the same team, trying to change the politics of our state and change the politics of our...
I still haven't got the vaccine. Stop being a stupid bitch and get vaccinated. What's wrong with you? Go get vaccinated. There are people who are living with long COVID who have been debilitated by this. There are people who have gotten brain damage from COVID. There are people who have been stuck in a hospital slowly dying for over a year. Stop playing Russian roulette, you stupid bitch, and get vaccinated. God, what, do you not gonna get vaccinated from polio? My mom makes my medical decisions. Your mom's making poor medical decisions.
Country, because we are seeing the consequences of losing elections as we speak. And we have a moral imperative to win.
Also, he's correct. Colin Allred's campaign was mediocre. I have no idea about Colin Allred as a man, but his campaign was mediocre as fuck.
In November in Texas and to win across this country, because that's how we're going to get things back on track. And so I know things get tense in a primary. I know stuff flies around on the internet. I understand that. But I'm trying to get us all to keep our eyes on the prize, which is remembering we're on the same team and getting out there, doing the organizing work so that we can win in November.
Have you spoken?
Also, just as an FYI, as an additional layer of information on this particular point, the TikToker who claimed that James Talarico was attacking Colin Allred as a mediocre black man claimed that James Talarico closed their Instagram account, which is not something that James Talarico can do. And as we've talked about recently, Instagram really does not give a fuck about claims like, hey, can you please take down an account for us? I don't know. Important piece of information would seem to be that, like, the person who brought this allegation in the first place might not be the most reliable source.
Colin already
I have.
this?
I call, I call them after.
Yeah, also, Big Roy Bad, you asked, like, which do I support? Is it James Talarico or Jasmine Crockett? I initially was like, politically, positionally, they are very similar. But I think that Jasmine Crockett has said a number of things that are extraordinarily detrimental to her ability to campaign. Like talking about how like Latinos have a slave mentality, stuff like that. I think it is massively damaging to her campaign, and also like something that is going to come back to bite her in any kind of general election. And I just think some of the handling around this particular incident with Colin Allred, I think it to me, I'm not inclined to trust the Crockett campaign at this point.
All this stuff came out, and
all things being equal at the beginning, I was kind of like, let the best candidate win. Let him peacefully duke it out, and we'll see who wins. I really have no preference here. And now I'm in the Talarico camp, and also I have some concerns over like Jasmine Crockett's connection to like crypto and some of the money that she's taken. And rhetorically, I think Talarico's really, really strong. I like that Crockett fights, but I don't think that's enough for where we're going. And if we're looking at both these candidates, I think Talarico fights in his own way, in a way that might be more beneficial. So that's just kind of my breakdown of that at the moment in a very broad sense, just to give you guys an idea where I'm at.
And everything started to blow up. Just to reiterate what I said in my statement, that I do respect him.
And how did that conversation go?
I don't want to reveal anything in a private conversation, but I hope that he and I walked away with a better understanding of each other.
Now, you're serving in Texas House of Representatives. You've had your fair share of strange days. I understand you had to weigh in on legislation about, and I hope I'm reading this correctly, furries.
I did.
Now, I know what furries are. And is that the same furries that I do not use my work computer to search for?
That's right. Yeah, when I ran for public office, I never thought I'd be talking about furries in this job. But my Republican colleagues in the state legislature,
Big Roy Bad? No problem at all. Thank you for the $2 super chat.
They were promoting an internet hoax that Texas public school students were identifying as cats.
Yes.
And
I heard this story.
Yes,
I read the story.
And that the schools were providing litter boxes to those students. I know.
My understanding is it's not just Texas, it's everywhere in the United States.
It's an epidemic. Biden
signed a law that had to happen.
Yes, forcing litter boxes in every classroom. Yes. Anyway, they decided to write a bill to combat this completely made-up problem, and it fell to me as a member of the Public Education Committee to question the author of that bill. And so I just asked him a pretty simple question. Has there been a single documented case of a school providing a litter box to students? And he couldn't name one. And this video went everywhere. You can look it up online.
So the law was working.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Chair recognizes Representative Talarico.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Representative Gertis, for being here. I know we've been joking about this bill, and I agree this bill is a joke, but the consequences for our students and our educators is not a joke. So I have a lot of questions that I want to try to get through, and I know the hour is late, but I do think this is important. You claimed, quote, schools have been provided litter boxes for students identifying as animals, end quote, when you introduced this bill. Is that correct?
When did I do that?
That's a direct quote from your press release announcing the bill.
Provided litter boxes?
I'll read it to you again. The quote is, schools have even provided litter boxes for students identifying as animals. Do you recognize that as being one of your quotes?
I'll take you for your word.
Okay. Can you name a school where it has been confirmed that students are using litter boxes?
Well, what we do with this bill is we prevent that from happening, but what we don't take out, I know we've talked about some active shooter situations.
Can you also pass a bill that prevents people's fingers from turning into sausages? I want the anti-sausage finger bill, okay? Look, for too long, we've all lived under the threat of our precious, precious fingies turning into sausages or hot dogs of various kinds. And I, for one, need a bill that finally puts a squash on this insipid and insidious idea that fingers could spontaneously turn into sausages. We need a law to prevent it. Like it's genuinely that level of ridiculous, you know? But Joe Rogan said it, so we need to pass legislation on what the podcaster said. It's genuinely insane.
And there's been talk that this bill will ban the litter box for active school situations, and they're called the go buckets, which this doesn't affect that. This is for the students that are, or per se, the litter boxes, if there are any in the schools, then this would take care of that for students that are using them in if they have them out in the restrooms.
Okay, and respectfully, Representative Gertis, we bring bills that solve problems. And when you introduced this bill, you said schools have even provided litter boxes for students identifying as animals. I'm asking,
and that's what we've gotten some reports of. Did I go to these school districts and visit and see it with my own eyes? No.
And where?
Well, maybe you should do that before you introduce legislation on it, huh, bucko? This is why you need to get involved in your local politics, folks, because otherwise dudes like this show up and they're just like, you need to pass a law against the litter boxes in your kid's class.
What school districts reported this?
That we got reports from?
Uh-huh.
We got reports from...
We got reports from the Rogan school district.
Daddy, do you want some sausages?
Salmon was thinking for the 5 tier 1 subs. They have one school in the Rogan district. It's called the School of Hard Knocks. God, I'm dying here. I'm fucking dying. Oh, God. From Principal Joe Mama.
Smithville confirmed they did not have one.
Yeah, because you mentioned Smithville in your layout.
Right.
As
That's
being
about
where you
the
heard
furry.
about
I
this.
never said that Smithville had a litter box. I want to be clear about that.
Okay, and I want to be clear that you cited Smithville in your layout and in your press release, but I have the minutes from last month's Smithville ISD school board meeting, which reads, quote,
yes, I have a report. There's not enough muscular men wearing basically no clothes. I need a bill for that. Yeah, we need... Look, when are we going to get our himbo district? For too long, our local politicians have promised us a local himbo district, and yet we have none. A travesty of justice has taken place.
This time, the district has no concerns related to students behaving as anything but typical children. Representative Gertis contacted Superintendent Cheryl Burns to ask if there were any litter boxes for students on district campuses. Burns informed Rep. Gertis there were not, but as a courtesy to Rep. Gertis, Ms. Burns made the extra effort to walk the campus to confirm that there were no litter boxes. Is that your understanding of what happened?
She did confirm that there wasn't, but she did confirm that there was a student identifying as exhibiting these non-human behaviors.
I'm just reading from their minutes. At this time, the district has no concerns related to students behaving as anything but typical children.
And that's fine, but I'm talking about the conversation I had with her in November.
Well, she's rejecting that accusation that you're making.
And she can do that, but I know the conversation that I had with her.
Okay, and so I just want to ask the question again. Mm-hmm. Can you name a school where it has been confirmed that students are using litter boxes? This was at the top of your press release. This was mentioned when you introduced this bill, created quite a stir among public school educators across the state. And so I'm asking, can you name a school where it's been confirmed that there are litter boxes being provided to students?
For this purpose, no, I cannot on the litter box side.
God damn, it's taken 4 minutes to just get a straight answer from this clown.
But
Okay.
I can on the furry side.
So your tweet about this bill was flagged by the app itself under their community notes, and their fact check said sensationalist claims about furries literally behaving as animals and receiving accommodations such as litter boxes have been repeatedly debunked as hoaxes. Is that correct?
It was flagged on, what is it, community notes?
Okay. I find it concerning that these types of debunked conspiracy theories are being used by politicians at the highest levels of our government, including in this legislature, who know that they're incorrect. Are you aware that Governor Abbott said, quote, kids go to school dressed up as cats with litter boxes in their classrooms?
God, Republicans will really just go out and say, like, any fucking thing. Just anything. It doesn't matter. They don't give a shit if it's true or not. They'll just go out and say it with their whole chest.
They're being the cats, they're being the dogs, they're being the pets, the people that live there.
Oh, when Donald Trump was saying that he was worried about the children. What if they identify so hard as cats or identify so hard as dogs that they get eaten? It's a problem in Texas, apparently. Also, Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. Much appreciated. And I just have to say, like, how does this conversation go on for another 13 minutes? How can Republicans believe this shit? They believe this shit because they're willing to believe any kind of hateful slop that remotely conforms to their preconceived ideas. Full stop. End of story. Like, it's just confirmation bias. It's the same way that, an AI chatbot, like, feeds into people's delusions and just slowly drives them more insane. It's just that this particular AI chatbot is done on an algorithm designed by Rupert Murdoch. You know, like, it's designed by Fox Corp and the Newsmax and, One America News. It's been designed by these corporations that are all owned by billionaires. And it creates media bubbles that are very difficult for them to escape.
Sure.
Are you also aware that when the governor was asked by the Dallas Morning News to name a single school where this happened, he couldn't? And PolitiFact called this a pants on fire false claim started by online rumors?
Okay. Or do you want me to name?
Stop the
A little
stupidity.
something for you doing awesome stuff, thank you.
Stop the stupidity. Thank you for the $5 super chat. I very much appreciate it. And folks like you make this show possible. I again, thank you.
Name a specific example?
I've asked if there's an example of litter boxes being provided to students.
And I answer that question, but we.
So I guess my question then is, do you think it's a good use of our time to write laws based on debunked internet conspiracy theories?
Well, this isn't. This piece of legislation before us covers that, among other things that are true. A whole host of other things that I'm more than happy to talk with you about.
I guess my concern is that instead of holding a hearing about student mental health, instead of holding a hearing about school closures across Texas,
underage drinking, I'm sure that's something that occurs in Texas.
we are spending precious legislative time toward the end of this legislative session on a bill called the Furries Act. And honestly, Representative Gertis, this whole thing is just weird and honestly a little creepy. And I think that's the point, because this is all, in my opinion, a manufactured, debunked smear campaign against our Texas public schools.
Absolutely not. And one of the reasons that we're here, I live in a small town. And when
I live in a small town, and I heard that another small town, just like mine, that is entirely fictional, was allowing children to use litter boxes in the classroom to piss and shit in. And I'm just really concerned about that because I really care about hygiene. All right? And these kids, they're too young to know about germ theory. They're too young to know about pissing and shitting in a toilet. And frankly, I'm worried that that fictional town might become all too real. So we need legislation that will prevent children from shitting in litter boxes. Everywhere, every when. Fictional or non-fictional. And I also humbly submit that my bill to ensure that no Americans' fingers spontaneously turn into hot dogs also get passed. Thank you very much.
One of my administrators just tells me in our conversation when we were talking about this that they didn't have the tools to stop it.
They didn't have the tools to stop the thing that wasn't happening?
This is one of the reasons that I'm here. Because we just want to help them have the tools to get some of the distractions out of the classroom so we can get back to teaching time and stop the distractions.
But Representative Gertis,
that's the bottom line.
Respectfully, the distractions you're talking about, the ones you use at the top of your press release, you just told me you can't name a single documented case of that actually happening.
On the litter box, but the furries, I can.
Well, you got me on the litter boxes, but I know furries are real. It's like, okay. What child going to school in rural Texas has the monetary ability to procure a fursuit? Just genuine question. Do you think Republicans have any idea how expensive a fursuit is? Like, those things are basically super suits. They have like entire technological wonders built into them in order for the people who put them on to not die of overheating. Like, statistically, at least a few. I mean, I guess, but like, genuinely, I don't think they want to wear them to school. They're gonna get wrecked at school, and by that I mean like the literal fursuits. Yeah, it's several $1,000s for a fursuit.
You can
and that's where the bill says in here litter box, but it also says.
And you use litter boxes to literally roll out this bill to the public.
Well, we want to make sure it covers the watershed.
And it's not just you. Governor Abbott has used this litter box rumor to paint our schools in the worst possible light.
My grandson wore a duck outfit to preschool. It's happening. God, I hate everything that the conservative movement offers. I don't understand how people fall for this.
He even used the litter box conspiracy theory to push his private school voucher bill.
Yeah, look, we need a bill. Okay, guys, we need a bill to stop the litter boxes. We need a bill to stop the furries. We need a bill to stop fingers from spontaneously turning into hot dogs.
Is your kid a furry? They may have a future in systems administration.
Or the nuclear power industry. Or the nuclear weapon industry. But we don't talk about that. Salmon Moose, thank you for the 2 tier 1 subs. And also, like, we need a bill. We need a bill that will stop the furries. They're the dastardly furries.
And
we need to outlaw Halloween. Okay, thanks, bye.
I think that's because if you want to defund neighborhood schools across the state, you have to get Texans to turn against their public schools. So you call librarians groomers, you accuse teachers of indoctrination, and now you say that schools are providing litter boxes to students. That's how all of this is tied together. That's how I see this bill. It's how a lot of educators across our state see this bill, as part of a smear campaign. These culture war attacks are nothing more than an effort to discredit our public schools, to justify defunding those public schools.
Well, all we're trying to do is provide the tools that
ducks are terrible people. That's true. Ducks are terrible people. Except for the ducks that moderate our chat sometimes.
We didn't have to stop this type of
We just went over the school in your district that you cited in your layout. has come out and said that it's false, that there are no children acting as animals and there are no litter boxes on the campuses.
Well, in that conversation that I had with my superintendent, I took her at her word.
Well, I believed someone at their word without doing any additional fact checking. And then I wrote this bill. It's not my fault that this bill is a dumbass, is the work of a dumbass, says man who wrote the bill.
I would hope so.
Right.
And the fact that they had to come out, your own school district had to come out in their public school board meeting and debunk the false conspiracy theories that you were peddling is a problem. And it has real world consequences for our educators. And so I just don't think we should be spending the last few days of this legislative session on a bill that is searching for a non-existent problem. And I do think that we should be spending our time actually improving student outcomes.
Why are these people so stupid? Because they're ideologically committed to the outcome of the bill. Like, I guarantee you, this guy does not give a shit about litter boxes in the classroom and is instead using this bill as a Trojan horse to get other backdoor means of cutting school funding. Like that. The thing is, they assume the mantle of stupidity. They push obviously stupid bills in order to arrive at the desired outcome that they have, and they're just willing to weaponize a convenient narrative in order to arrive at that conclusion that they want. It doesn't matter if that vehicle is a bunch of lies, they will attempt to use it anyway. And too often, they've gotten away with it, which now leads us to a point where their lies are becoming more and more extreme and obvious.
Texas librarians are not grooming kids. Texas teachers are not indoctrinating kids. And Texas schools are not providing litter boxes.
Oh, yeah. No, very true. Do not Google duck penises or duck vaginas. Ducks are terrible people. Don't do it. Just evolutionarily, they are terrible creatures.
And I think the most disappointing part about all this is I think you know that.
Clown Royale, thank you for subscribing.
I want to ask you a few questions about the language of the bill. So your bill provides, includes language that prohibits students from engaging in certain types of, quote, non-human behavior, which is...
What? You're prohibited from behaving in a non-human way. What would that even look like? No returning to Monkey for you.
Is defined as including, quote, licking oneself or others, end quote. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I am worried that there are developmentally normal behaviors, things that any child might do that could be punished under the language because it's so broad and unclear. So let's just use this example because there are actual monetary fines along with your bill. So this is not just a humorous thing. There are real consequences. If a student eats Cheetos and then licks the cheese dust off their fingers, would that be considered licking oneself?
Yeah, that's not a non-human.
I want to return the monkey. Illegal in Trump's America. Thank you for the $2 Canadian. God.
Behavior if you're licking your fingers because you got food on them. That's kind of in line with the normal.
Excuse me, dogs will lick peanut butter off of their own paws. I've seen it happen. It's clearly a non-human behavior.
Behavior.
But you're defining non-human behavior as licking oneself or others.
If it's in this non-human behavior realm, the intent of the bill is
The reverse is far more likely.
Oh, no. What is this?
Son, we need to have a serious discussion about the type of Pokemon you've been catching lately.
Oh, no.
Elaborate.
All right, so this one right here, this one's just a straight-up man.
No, he has a tail.
Oh, God. Oh, that was really good. Thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs, Sake Tanuki, and also for the comedy.
licking oneself for the grooming purposes like a cat.
So who decides whether the licking is non-human behavior? Is that the Attorney General's job if your bill becomes law?
The local school districts come up with their plan.
But all there needs to be is one complaint, and the Attorney General, the top cop in the second largest state in the union.
Not to be confused with the bottom cop. Very different types of cops.
Is now tasked with investigating that behavior?
That's not necessarily how that plays out. This goes through the teacher or the administrator to see, if the kid is acting out and not licking Cheeto dust off themselves, to be sent to the disciplinary office. The other side of that is if a parent has a reasonable belief, and they can file.
God, honestly, conservatives will ride just about anything to get a backdoor way of cutting education. They will support anything, up to and including creating an entirely new form of police, the furry police, which sounds adorable, but is actually incredibly dystopian.
File a complaint, but the Attorney General does their due diligence. They don't immediately get fined, and then before there's ever any type of a fine assessed, they make sure that they're in compliance with the language of what the school has implemented for their plan.
That's Zootopian. You guys, you got it. You got me with the Zootopian.
I mean, I would just hope that the Attorney General has better things to do than investigating licking or that kind of behavior among kids. So you have an exception in this bill for a student involved in a school performing arts organization. Is that correct?
Yes.
But what if a teacher wants to put on a classroom play, which is pretty common? So things like Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. One of the characters has their head transformed into the head of a donkey, but that wouldn't be part of a performing arts organization, so would it lead to a fine under the current language of the bill?
I'm more than happy to work with you on some language for that type of thing. You're more of an expert in this space than I am, and I'd be more than happy to work with you on some language that you'd feel comfortable with to add in here to make sure that type of thing is covered.
I mean, again, to be honest, I'm not comfortable with any bill that's going after a non-existent issue. What if a kid went to the Alamo with their family over the weekend and bought a Davy Crockett fur hat from the gift shop? Would wearing that hat be considered wearing fur?
It's wearing fur, but the school districts have a plan.
God, this absolute chump didn't even think about a single aspect of this bill before putting pen to paper. It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Sir, if you believe Christ is the Son of God, but also man, is not a student living a Christ-like life engaging in partially non-human behavior?
Samantha, that is the complete and utter checkmating of conservative Christian nationalists in the South. Unironically.
They allow hats in the school, or not. When I was
my point, Representative Gertis,
hats to school.
Is that there's no reason to write a bill this broad where the only exceptions have to be thought up by this body.
I can't believe I've never seen this before.
Would you perhaps be willing to add an amendment to your bill clarifying that a principal can exempt behavior that is not pervasive or disruptive to the learning environment?
Sure. Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs.
I'd be the worst politician when grilling any other politician. I'd be 100% asking about various foreplay acts and asking if they're normal human behavior.
Oh God, you would be the worst politician at grilling other politicians. I feel like you'd immediately get into trouble, Sake. But you know what? It would make excellent television. Thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs.
I want to ask about the animal sounds. Your bill penalizes schools when students engage in barking, meowing, hissing, or other animal noises that are not in human speech. Is that correct?
That's what it says.
Your bill has certain carve-outs, Halloween, theater, Does your bill have a carve out for?
There's a carve out for Halloween? The hypocrisy. The #1 furry holiday just gets an exemption? Clearly, this bill has been contaminated by the, dare I say, paws of the enemy. That's right, the #1 cat girl holiday.
Instructional material?
For what if you're playing something on the TV?
Well, so
like
it's
animal documentary.
It's common for teachers to use books, plays, films, songs that feature non-human characters to teach lessons.
Or, you know, we could just examine preschools where, like, they have one of those little plastic wheels. You guys know the wheel that I'm talking about. It has, like, a little arrow that spins around and points at an animal, and it makes, like, a moo sound. And then, like, you're like, what sound does a cow make? And the kid goes, moo. Fine. Straight to jail. Good night, Chicago Cubbies. Let us know your experience voting for Talarico tomorrow.
You know, I was a sixth grade language arts teacher, so things like Charlotte's Web. For older students, things like Animal Farm, which of course is a political allegory told through talking farm animals. So if a student is reading Animal Farm and they oink like a pig or neigh like a horse, would they be subject to a $10,000 fine?
No, because that's in line with the, if it's in line with the curriculum that the
Is that in your bill?
This is talking about the, I mean, like I said, I'd be happy to work with you on making sure that we have things that are in line with normal curriculum that are covered outside of this.
Okay, I want to talk about the enforcement. Is it true that school districts are fined up to $10,000 for the first violation?
Yes.
And is it true that school districts can be fined up to $25,000 for subsequent violations?
Yes, that's what the bill states.
In this version of the bill, is there any accountability for false accusations?
No.
Okay, because accusing a school district of encouraging students to act like furries is a pretty serious allegation, and it isn't hypothetical. So just a year ago, an individual accused one of the school districts I represent, actually the school district I grew up in, Round Rock ISD, of lowering lunch tables so that students could eat like dogs. Beyond the absurdity of that, the superintendent had to make clear that the school lunch tables could not even physically be lowered. But those false allegations caused serious harm to our school district and took time and attention away from the classroom, away from teaching and learning. Now, I imagine that those kind of frivolous tweets or Facebook posts, conspiracy theories, I imagine what those would do if they came with the full force of the Attorney General and his office. I mean, defamation is a very serious threat that I think this bill opens the floodgates for. So for the AG, is it true that your bill gives the job of investigating furry behavior in Texas classrooms to the Attorney General?
Yes, they're the ones that would look into the complaints.
So we're sending the Texas Attorney General to investigate Texas public school children based on claims made by just anyone?
Parents of...
Only parents?
Right, under a reasonable belief.
So who can make an accusation?
So the intent would be for a parent of a student that's in that school.
What does the bill say?
The bill says, let's see here, where it, a parent who reasonably believes that a school, district, open enrollment charter school, or employee of or contractor of that district or school is in violation.
So it can only be a parent that makes the complaint?
That's what it states.
Okay. So I guess the last question I have is, does the Texas Attorney General have better things to do than policing a child's actions in a public school?
We'll have to leave that up to them.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much.
All right.
You're the guy writing this bill! Yeah, I'm pretty agnostic about this. That's why I'm here. Okay. This guy sounds so deflated already. Yeah, he should. He should be turning into a corn cob right now as we speak. What a coward, right? Anyway, that is the full clip that is being referenced here. And this was from last year, back in April. Let's jump back to the end of this interview, and we're just about done with this, but let's push on through to the final stretch. Are catnaps woke? Are catnaps anti-woke? I guess so, definitionally.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. He actually kind of said something similar to that.
Yeah.
His response was that this law is to prevent that from ever happening.
Oh, I understand.
Which I guess
Sure.
that's true. But anyway, there is a point to this craziness. They want us talking about furries and bathrooms, so we don't realize that they are picking our pockets, that they are closing our schools, they are gutting our health care, and they are raising taxes on all of us while they cut taxes for their billionaire donors.
Yeah, hey, let's just take a look at, yeah, here we go. So here is the wealth contained by the bottom 50% of society in the United States, and the wealth of all US billionaires. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Hey, also Patrick Lucas, thank you for the gifted membership. Let's take a look. But guys, just out of curiosity, before I throw this up on screen, I'm curious. Do you think that if a bunch of people go into a bank and rob the bank, do suddenly the people who rob the bank have a whole lot more money? This question probably has nothing to do with anything, but do those people suddenly have a whole lot more money? Well, I would say yes, actually. And likewise, if we're wondering who is looting the American people, would it not make more sense when all of our wages are stagnant, when we're constantly having our bank accounts drained by healthcare expenses, by rising food costs, by unexpected unemployment as a result of any number of the external factors that the Trump administration has unleashed on us? Maybe the solution here to figure out who's doing the looting of America lies in looking at who has the most money, just as a basic rule of thumb. Oh, look at this. Look at this handy graph I found. This handy graph shows 1990 to 2021. And as you can see here, back in 2021, the billionaires really started increasing. Let's take a look. Can we find a 2026 graph here? Let's just take a quick gander. Here you go. This is the increase in billionaire wealth from 2000 to 2024. As you can see, the tail end of 2024 spiking up again. Let's see. You can find Google stock. Oh, actually, you know what? Here's a useful little graph to help understand exactly what's happening. This is from Global Economic Inequality, the World Inequality Report of 2026. Just gonna throw this up here. Boop. Wealth grows faster among the very wealthy, and this is the growth curve of what you can expect. The per adult annual growth rate in wealth. So if you are in the bottom 1%, bottom 10% of the world, you can expect a little over 2% in growth of your wealth every year. You might get a few extra pennies. And then you start taking a look at once you get to the 99.99%, suddenly it's extraordinarily easy to grow your wealth. It's crazy. So strange. But, it's how capital works.
The culture wars are a smokescreen because the real fight in this country is not left versus right, it's top versus bottom. Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for being the first guest to ever appear only on YouTube.
I'm honored. I'm honored. Thank you.
Representative James Talarico, everybody.
That was awesome. That was a great interview. And I do want to add one more thing. Finally found a better graph just to really easily show. Oh, look at that. Number of billionaires keeps going up. Net worth of billionaires keeps going up and up and up. That's so crazy. So crazy how it keeps getting new highs for billionaires. Do you feel like you're at new highs of wealth compared to where you were at? Generally speaking, probably not. Can I just say something real quick? Brendan Carr is 47 years old, and he genuinely looks like the spirit of death personified. It's crazy. He looks like if you slapped a bunch of skin on to like a neo-Nazi death's head. You know, like he does not look great. You're fucking lying. He was born in 1979. He's 47 years old. God.
Exception for talk shows because he said some of them were motivated by partisan purposes. Well, sir, you're chairman of the FCC.
Yeah, he looks like an immortal being that subsists on the suffering of humanity. That's younger than me, and I bet you look great, Amy. The idea that, like, look, 47 does not look like that. 47 years old does not look like this man. I'm sorry. He somehow, like, maybe he Benjamin Buttoning, I don't know. You're gonna turn 47 years young next month, guess what? You're gonna look better than Brendan Carr, alright? You're gonna look better than Brendan Carr until the day you turn 100, alright? And I'm just talking about Brendan Carr as he is right now.
But it's not going to be on The Late Show. It's going to be on The Late Show's YouTube page. The network says I can't give you URL or a QR code, but I promise you, if you go to our YouTube page, you'll find it. Now.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I like post-cancellation Colbert. I think I like him not pulling any punches. I like him being a little bit snide. It suits him, you know. I've missed the Stephen Colbert of the Colbert Report. You know, I've missed it for a.
Just for reference, she's 10 years older.
Just for reference, she's 10 years older. Lucy Lawless. Yeah, Lucy Lawless is flawless, all right? They should be calling her Lucy Flawless. Nailed it. Nailed it. Also, just like, she looks so good. She looks so good. I'm not showing Lucy on screen right now. You all can have the pleasure of Googling how she's doing yourself. Incredible stuff. And honestly, the interview was incredible as well. Like, I just find like the entire situation is absolutely fascinating. It's an indictment against, you know, the entirety of the conservative movement, right? Like everything that they have stood for, everything that they have fought for regarding free speech, regarding anti-censorship, regarding any of that, immediately goes out the window. Immediately goes out the window when they can leverage the power of the state to try and silence their critics. It is laughable the degree to which conservatives so quickly turned on their own principles. It just goes to show it was always a crock of shit, you know? And like, it seems to me that this should be an entire disillusionment point on its own, you know? Like, the tariffs are another, you know, the international stuff with Greenland is yet another.
Riverbait party mode, Riverbait wiggle, Riverbait party mode, Riverbait wiggle.
The Epstein files should be another. This should have been another one, you know, like another wake-up call that is blisteringly obvious to anyone with their eyes half open. I don't know, the fact that the Trump administration is personally stepping in to try and silence The View and the Colbert Report, not the Colbert Report, the Late Night with Stephen Colbert, it's a different show, really speaks to the fact that, like, we're in like a really interesting time. Omega Star, thank you for the 10 tier 1 subs. Very much appreciated. And Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. Very much appreciated. And I want to finish this bit here, so I'll just rush through it here. These people don't have principles. They will tell you to to your face until they are blue in the face that they have principles. Many of them don't. Many of them are just here for the team sports. Many of them are just here to, essentially root for the home team. I gotta be honest, I can think of kicking almost no bigger hornet's nest in American television than trying to enrage the types of women who watch The View. Not that they were huge fans of Donald Trump before, but the idea that you are going to somehow reduce turnout in the midterms by going after The View and Stephen Colbert, you've just mobilized everybody. You just mobilized the entire liberal center against you. They're all gonna turn out. It doesn't matter, by the way, like if there's a socialist running for office in their district, they're gonna turn out for that socialist just to spite Donald Trump. Which is why you should all start getting organized on the local level. Join your local Dems, join your local DSA, get involved, go to the goddamn meetings. I promise you, you can do it. If you need help, join our Discord, reach out to GamerG for help joining your local DSA and making them effective. Reach out to Dragonfly for help joining your local Dems and making them more progressive. It is possible. But goddamn, we need to take advantage of this particular moment in time when Donald Trump and the FCC are kicking the hornet's nest of The View. Okay, radicalize your viewing liberal wine moms. Okay, it's time to bring the "I've had it" attitude to the libs who watch The View. Okay, that's our mission. You have a window. Go 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 go. We love socialism here, don't we, folks? It's true. And also, just want to say, to wrap it all up, I think James Talarico is an excellent candidate. I think he should win, at least as it stands right now. Either way, even if he doesn't wind up winning, even if Jasmine Crockett emerges as the victor, I think they are both going to be relatively similar when it comes to their policy positions, with some key differences in my mind. But that being said, we got to get organized because the midterms are coming up, and we have to make sure we win those general elections, all right? Is Whoopi Goldberg still on The View? Yes, she is. Find a good primary candidate. Exactly. Now is the time, folks. Now is the time. Find the folks in your community who are willing to run for something and get them to sign up for runforsomething.net. They have the resources to help you become a political candidate in your town, in your city, in your state. And we need all the good folks that we can get. All right. That being said, last but not least, hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment. And folks, please consider checking out ImogeneOlivia.com, gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes, tested with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. It is non-tucking lingerie. Check it out. ImogeneOlivia.com. New styles, colors, and sizes coming in the near future. Link should be down in the doobly-doo. And let's keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the scenes. Politics, being flame more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.